This is my buddy Kane. He just going to provide security from all you heathen media with the questions that you're going to bring, right? All right. I keep saying it over and over, but we beat a really good team today in Kent State. You know, I thought our team defended at a really high level, minus maybe the first few minutes of the game. I will say this, that there are some times when you do everything you can defensively, and a guy hits shots that you have no control of defending. And you see it all the time at the next level, but rarely do you see it at this level. And Jalen Walker, some of the circus shots that he hit at the end of the game, I think made the margin a little bit closer than I really thought it was. I thought our guys played well. We did a great job against a pressure defensive team of keeping our turnovers down. We had 10 turnovers for the game. It was a big point of emphasis all week, and feel really good about what our team accomplished today against, like I said, I think one of the best teams in the Mack. I've known Rob for a long time. I think this is the most talented team, and so we're excited with the win. We know we got to continue to get better, and it's great that we have a few days off here and not an opponent here in a couple days.
Were you pleased with the way your team played inside-out basketball a little bit better tonight than in the past two games?
Yeah, it was a little awkward game offensively, especially in the second half, because they chose to trap a lot, whether that was the post, whether that was as we were bringing the ball up, first pass. But, again, to have 10 turnovers, against that, I thought kudos to our guys for being strong with the ball and making the right decision. I thought we got the ball in the lane. As much as we could, and we drew some fouls to get to the free throw line, as many times as we did. So, I think we're getting better with the getting the ball in the paint and making decisions from there.
How about Chris? How about the balanced scoring? Navarre had been leading the team for I think the last 3 games, double-figure scores.
Obviously Dwayne and CC and Malik had a really good game for us offensively. My bigger concern is, and it hasn't been a concern with this team, is just sharing the ball. It's so often teams fight themselves, don't want to make the extra pass, and that's not a sign of our team. It's really fun to coach that when guys are hitting the open man. The go-to guy for us is the guy that's open, and we have to make decisions that find that guy. So we're going to have nights where Jordan scores a lot. We're going to have nights where other guys, pick up, the slack because they put so much attention on Jordan, which I thought they did tonight. And I thought we were very balanced offensively.
As a follow-up, were you concerned at all that you were becoming a little bit too reliant on Jordan for the scoring, or did that not bother you?
No, my thing with Jordan is just take good shots, and there's times where a guy gets on a roll and you want to run plays for him. They're going to highlight him on the scouting report. His looks are going to be a lot more difficult, but I think for the most part our shot selection's getting better. Our turnovers tonight were cut down, so that happens in basketball. There's going to be times where teams do a great job in scouting and he doesn't score as much, but we have other talented players that can pick up the slack.
CC's such a good distributor, but is there a number of shots you'd like to see him take a game?
No, not really. I want him to be aggressive, and I thought he was. Didn't you think Cunningham was pretty aggressive tonight?
Yeah.
Yep. And so good point guards do what the game tells them. If people collapse, then he'll spray it out. He does a great job. I think a couple times they didn't quite honor the ball screen, and he got all the way to the rim. It's really fun to coach CC because, it's like I'm coaching a 35-year-old veteran out there. And that's a luxury that a lot of college coaches don't have.
Chris, that first half team shoots 60%. I think they ended making 8 out of 10. Was that as good a stretch as you've seen out of this team offensively?
Pretty good. And I want to go back to the other side of the ball, too, because I thought that was as good as we played on both ends of the floor. We got stops. The last 2 4-minute wars were our best of the game. It's where we got the separation, and from that point it was really an even game. But I don't know if it would have been even had Jalen not hit those shots in the second half. But I thought our play in the last 8 minutes in the first half was indicative of who we can be.
Coach, like you said earlier, Jalen hit some really tough, well-defended shots. He really got going in the second half, but how much part of the game plan was it to try to slow him down?
A lot. He and Jalen Avery. Those are the two horses for them. It goes against your pack line principles when you start to say, let's deny him the ball. And that's what we tried to do the last 4 or 5 minutes of the game. And then they ultimately took him out, or maybe he fouled out. I'm not sure. He wasn't in there at the very end. But when you do that, when you choose to deny somebody the ball, you start to get really spread out. And that opens the lane for drives, post-ups, slips to the rim. And it never got to the point where the deficit was so intense that we thought, like, wow, this could be a 1-possession, 2-possession game down the stretch. But after he hit that last one, we opted to sort of deny him the ball as best we could.
You only allowed 4 points off turnovers. Was that a product of how you all were turning it over, or did you all specifically work on something in terms of defense getting back after a turnover?
A few dead ball turnovers, and those you don't have to worry about defending. I was just glad that our turnovers were kept at a minimum against a team that really relies on them and presses and pressures. They were virtually pressing from the 12-minute mark on down. And for us to do what we did, we didn't quite convert every time, but I thought we got the shots that we wanted. Missed a few around the rim as usual.
Coach, you mentioned getting a few days off to kind of get some rest, but what are some other things that you hope to clean up before you kind of wrap up the non-conference?
I don't know if it's clean up. You're always in that mode, whether you're preparing for somebody or not. But it's addressed some things that we haven't had to utilize. So our zone offense hasn't been seen in the last 4 or 5 games because nobody's played zone. So we really have to sharpen that up for us, not for anybody else or a future opponent. And we have to do some defensive things that I'm not going to publicly talk about.